All right. I think we're being live streamed on YouTube. So thanks for your patience. Apologies for the delay. We're still waiting for one of the last panelists to join, but we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks again for your patience. And so you should be able to see the slides that I'm sharing.
Yep,
And,
I can see you.
Yes,
cool.
I can see.
All right, sorry, I had a different window sort of popped up, so I got a little distracted. Apologies for not flying off to a flying start. But my name is Ray Paik. I'm a community manager at PinkCap, based in California, and excited to have a talk around generative AI applications and building a tech stack. So I'm joined by, I'll read off the names here, but I'll let the panelists introduce themselves too. Sean Wei, who's the CEO of RealChar. Go check out the website or the app. It's actually pretty cool. I was playing around with it earlier today, and ended up having a conversation with Arnold Schwarzenegger, which I thought was cool. And we have our CTO, Ed Huang, and Kevin Zhu. He and Peter were two team members on a project called ConvexAI that came first in our latest hackathon, and we're still waiting for Elliot to join us. But I mean, Sean, I'll let you introduce yourself really quick. So.
Yes, thank you for the introduction, Ray. Hello, everyone. I'm Sean. I'm the CEO and co-founder of RealChar. And RealChar stands for Real-Time AI Capture or Real-Time AI Companion. It's a fully open source project. So if you go to GitHub, search like RealChar, it will be very easy to find. And it's used the most advanced state-of-art large model tech stack with your favorite technology to power all the AI capture conversations. One of the cool features you can do in RealChar is you can pretty much like have a real-time conversation, just like how you communicate with human on the platform. This project we started like 3 months ago, and has we have also a Discord community. You are welcome to join. So that's like what we have been building, and really glad to be invited to join this panel.
Cool. All right, Ed, I'll let you go next. So.
Sure. Hi. Hello, everyone. This is Ed from PinkCap. PinkCap is the company behind TiDB, and TiDB is, is a distributed cloud native database for modern application, like today's our topic, generative AI applications. I would say data or database will be one of the most important, especially database, one of the most important tech stacks behind the modern applications. But in the old days, we spent a lot of time. The whole industry, we spent a lot of time to make database ease of use, more cost efficiency. We believe that our products made a significant improve on this path. Yeah, so yeah, that's
cool. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you, Ed. All right, Kevin, I'll let you go next. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So hi everyone. My name is Kevin, and I am a team member of the ConvexAI. And we won the first prize of the TiDB Hackathon 2023. And I'm currently a PhD student at UC San Diego. And yeah, so thanks for having me. And it's a pleasure to join you today. I was also playing with Richard earlier today. Well, I would say it's quite impressive. It's even better than some closed source competitor, like I don't know, character.ai probably. Yeah, so it's quite impressive.
Cool. All right, I see that Elliot's joined us as well. Thank you, Elliot, for joining.
Hi everyone.
Joining also all the way from Singapore. we're just doing quick introductions. So just I want you to say hi to folks that are online. So.
All right. Thanks for inviting me onto this event. I'm Elliot. I'm a high school student right now studying in Singapore. I really interested in web development, AI, databases, open source developments, and especially hackathon. So that's how I knew about the TiDB Hackathon and got me into the TiDB tech stack.
Cool. Well, it's great to have you, and it was awesome to see your team participate in the hackathon as well. It's a really fun project. Well,
Thank you.
I'm going to flash the agenda really quick. The first part is, we'll talk about like a generative AI in general, but I want to give Elliot and Kevin a chance to talk a little bit more about their projects during the hackathon. I mean, not only were they, sort of top two projects, but I think they were trying to solve like a real interesting use case or problems, whether you're running an engineering team or whether you're trying to create a tool for teachers. So we want to talk about those. And then, it's great to have like Sean here along with Ed, because obviously at PinCap or the TiDB community, we talk to a lot of startups, but it'd be good to get sort of I'm always fascinated by, how like a project or product or a company got started. So as you're getting started, like what were some of the learnings and things we need to consider? And we'll sort of wrap it up at the end with open discussions and a couple of housekeeping things. So I see a lot of people, at least 16 people already participated in the polls. There's an incentive. We obviously I like having these polls so that as people are waiting, there's some things to think about. But we're going to pick, I believe, like 2 lucky winners who'll get some nice swag from TiDB or PinCap. So I like the scalability cup, because scalability is one of the things that we talk about at TiDB. So I think it's on message or on message in terms of our database or product. So for those of you participating in the poll, thank you, and then hopefully wish you luck, and hopefully you get to score some swag. And then somebody already asked a question earlier. Q&A tab, that's perfect. You can ping us in chat, but the benefit of doing Q&A is that other people can kind of see the questions and then answers, and then we get to keep track of those Q&A as well. So in case we need to, there are action items or something that we need to think about in the Q&A if it's helpful. And then another, all right, so somebody's asking to see the QR code again. So hopefully there it is. All right, so I'll move on. And then I think there's another, like a slide at the end. So in case you haven't caught it, like you'll get to see it again. All right, so without further ado, before we sort of get into the hackathon projects, Ed and Sean, I wanted to sort of ask you, and either one of you can go first, like what is generative AI? It's such a commonly used term, like a lot of times we don't think about it, right? So either one of you can go first, but quick description, like you can use an example app, or like how do you think about generative AI? So.
All right. Yeah, we can go for, or do you want to go first? Yeah, so I can first. Yeah. Okay. So I think for generative AI, it's actually we who have been in the tech industry for a while, remember all the last trend of AI, right? That AI was pretty much okay if you have a very specific use case, right? So you want to train a model just for that very specific use case. It used to be a tool, a lot of good tool only for the large company, right? So it's behind the paywall and no one has access to it. Only if you have a really great, a larger number of engineers who can use, then you can utilize the technology. But for the new trend of generative AI, it's now you have the AI can help you to generate content or more creative content. All the text to image, text to text is text to text, is ChatGPT, right? Like text to video, then there's text to 3D model, video to video. All of them like count as like generative AI. That's how I view it. Because now you have this tool, and it's not just behind the paywall. It's like everyone can have equal access. There's so many open source generative AI projects and open source projects. So this is how I view this like generative AI trend, and also the generative AI.
Cool, thank you. Ed, anything to add there?
Yeah, to me, I will bypass all the technical detail or under the hood technology about generative AI. But I want to, talk about generative AI like end user. To me, it's just like advisor, knows everything, but you cannot rely on its answer 100%, right? So but compares to like search engine, it will always give you the answers with a better context about like the conversation, things like this. Another significant change compares to the other technologies, it changed the way how we interact with computer or how we interact with technology. So in the old day, before generative AI, the people who use computer or software, we always always need to learn. For example, if you want to be an engineer, you're better to learn how to programming, right? Programming is like learn a lot of command, API, SDK, so that you can talk to computer while you're program. Or maybe you can learn to use a software, like GUI, GUI. You can hit the button, interact with the GUI or CLI. But after the era of generative AI, in the future, the technology, even like today's software, but they will provide a more ease of use interface to interact with people, which is conversation, which is photo or video. So I think one of biggest change LLM or generative AI create is how we interact with computer. So that's very important. Yeah. Okay. That's why.
Thank you. Yeah, I like the cautionary tale you had at the beginning too. So which we don't often think about. So yeah, without further ado, I have slides for both ConvexAI and the next project. So Kevin, I'll turn things over to you. I mean, you have about 5 minutes. Tell us about your project, what it does, and we have a QR code here as well. So in case you want to take a look at the project page, you can go look at more details. But Kevin, I'll leave the floor to you.
Okay, thank you, Ray. So our project is kind of cool. So like everybody has ideas, right? Like there is a meme, like everybody has an idea, but we all need coders to code the idea into apps, into the products, right? But now with generative AI, you have the chance to be the boss, the CEO of your own idea, and without hiring expensive developers. So our ConvexAI provides a very simple and easy way for you to build a new application. You just need to input the idea, and our AI agent team can do the rest for you. So we actually borrow ideas from open source or like agile development. So we have an AI product manager, we have AI developers, we have AI testers, we have AI to do the documentation. So all you need is an idea, and the team of Convex, like the AI agents, will do the job for you. And we also have a story mode, so you can see how your idea turns from just a single idea to a complete application. So it's kind of like a role play, RPG role play game. So you can see how the AI agents communicate with each other and how they collaborate to make the app and also deploy it with the help of Vercel with TiDB serverless. So those are the top technologies for deploying the app, and with the simplicity, it's easy for everyone to have their own applications deployed in real time.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, it was a real, I encourage people to check out the project page. There's also like a 5-minute animation of actual demo of the product, and it's actually pretty cool. So thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Yeah, so next on is Quizmefy, and Elliot, we have the QR code for the project, but I'll let you explain the project in more detail. So.
All right, thank you, Ray. So
Yeah.
the first thing I want to say is that I was really impressed by Kenwen's project when I first saw it in first place. Like, it blew my mind how he integrated it was like recursive AutoGPT, forming a team with AI agents and coming up with the idea. Our project is not as noble as his service, but the motivation of why we actually wanted to do our project was we found out that there wasn't a lot of quizzes when it comes to niche courses, like niche topics. Like, let's say I'm studying video editing, or I'm studying like programming. There's not much questions or practice questions that we could use to help us improve our skills. Therefore, we decided to go with large language models and also ingesting custom content to build a custom knowledge base and also create a very playful and fun environment for people to practice the questions. So yeah, our project is basically an AI quiz generation gamified platform, to put it simply. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. No, I mean, you kind of undersold yourself, Elliot. I was actually pretty impressed. I mean, you did a demo of creating questions about like TiDB, for example, right? And it was actually pretty fun. And I mean, like I think Ed was saying earlier, teachers, I guess they could use the questions as is, but they could sort of use it as a tool to sort of refine the question, right? So it's almost like, my analogy is providing some bullet points because you want to write a paragraph, and then you get an output from ChatGPT or something. I mean, you don't want to use it as is, but it gives you sort of a good starting point. And I mean, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was a really cool project, and I saw a lot of interesting use cases in educational setting. Thank you. So I mean, I guess I'll throw this question to you, Ed. I mean, obviously, I mean, I don't think it's just because we had an award for AI. There were a lot of projects that had an AI theme, but what's your sort of overall impression of those AI themed projects in the hackathon? What were sort of your impressions, or what were you very impressed with or even surprised by? So.
Yeah, especially for this two project, the first prize and and Quizme a second place, they all have really good UI. So for the I really a little bit jealous about, hey, because I'm the backend engineer, I don't have enough expertise to create AI like this in a good taste. So one of the most important thing, if you want to win the award in the hackathon, you need to have a good UI. So this is the one trick. The second thing is that, even though we have a topic about, generative AI, but I'm thinking, the AI to me is not only to, using the API of ChatGPT or something, but actually create something actually useful, to solve the real world problem. So I think this is the one of the most the how I think why this project are really good. So actually solve the real world problem. The third thing is that to me, sometimes for the hackathon is actually like build imagine you are actually creating a startup. So you are actually building the startup project using this attitude, maybe will create really good project. So yeah. And yeah, that's all I want to say. And
Cool.
I think that's really cool. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah. I mean, not just these two, but there were a lot of other projects that I was very impressed with. So
yeah.
I was really impressed with the quality of the projects.
I forgot
Yeah,
one,
go ahead.
One important thing, most important thing, just have fun. Just have fun.
Yeah.
Right. I can feel, like the attendees in this hackathon, they actually enjoyed and really proud of what they built. So yeah, that's to me that's really important. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. So Sean, I mean, if I maybe I didn't hear this right, but I've heard that your company was actually started as a hackathon project. Is that correct, or at least got an inspiration from a hackathon, or like?
Yeah. So I basically start the project myself, and I also want to build something useful and also have fun, right? Like that's what others do, right? Like when you are building projects, you are not having fun, you are doing it wrong, right? Why not just get a job that get paid? So yeah, so I think that I started this like having fun. Then I bring the project to one of the hackathon projects, hackathon like events, and had a few contributors contribute to the project. And we also did some experiments with that, like in the end up also won the like first prize. So, but we really enjoy the process of writing code and come up with new ideas, especially with like engaging with the communities, right? So yeah, I think I really I also like to everyone who is building, keep building, right? Something beautiful going to come out with all your hard work.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, I mean, this leads me to my next question, and I'm going to put you on the spot again, Sean, is, I mean, when you're starting out, whether it's other projects or RealChar is probably a good place to start. Like, what were, like, in the early stages, like, what were some of your consideration? Because I think Ed mentioned earlier, I mean, there are a lot of stack elements for generative AI. Like, I mean, I've seen white papers that list like, 70 different logos. And so what were some of the considerations like when you're making architectural decisions and making development decisions?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I actually get paid to answer this question several times. So, I just give this for free to everyone.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so, especially for large model tech stack, right? Like there are so many different choices you can choose. For me, the most important thing is to look at, the community, right? Whoever is building this, do you get enough support from the community? Are they answering your question, or are they like actively contribute to the stack? Think about like large model. If I asked you last year what are you going to build, it will be so different if I ask you today, right? So that's just like how fast the lens, like the everyone is building. So that's why like you have to choose a like tool that or like community going to have the best support for you, because you don't want to build on something like you're going to be no one going to maintain this next year, right? The second is like take a look at their also like their demo projects, right? Who have been like successful building on top of their product, right? Are they like very successful companies, or are they mostly are just like prototypes or demos? Well, this is mostly for if you want to build a like company on top of some of the solutions, right? But if you want to say, okay, I just want to just have fun, then I would say, okay, take a look their examples, right? Can you find some examples going to be like help you to speed up your development process, right? So then in the end, that's like I find a lot of technology right now are pretty, how do I put it? So they don't have a really great documentation, right? Some of the tools you have to find, okay, who are struggling, right? So that's why go back to the first question is like find the community, right? So you find that the document is out there. If there's people who are asking questions, you find the right tool.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, Ed, I think you mentioned earlier, and obviously for us, I mean, TiDB is near and dear to your heart, and you obviously talked to a lot of our community members and customers or even potential customers. When they're thinking of like a scalability for the data stack, like what are some of the things that, new developers need to think about?
As we build database, but I will answer this question using a developer or engineer perspective. Imagine I was like a CTO in a startup company building amazing application, not database. So if I choosing tech stack or there are some rules. The first one will be really ease of use, because as a startup, I don't have enough time or enough resource to find a top-notch talent, maybe, right? So that means if I want to choose need to choose a technology, it should be really ease of use. So I don't need to learn new things. For example, if I use Postgres, I better choose database with Postgres compatibility. If I familiar with MySQL, this product should be used like a MySQL, something like that. So and it also really reduce the migration cost. For example, if I have already have some legacy code want to migrate, that will be much more easier, so that you can launch your product early. This is number one. The second thing is about the scalability. So today as a startup, sometimes you will run into the unimaged growth. I have a real world story. We're in the early days of PingCap, we have a customer. A couple of years ago, they only have like 20 people, a small startup. Within 1 year, this team grew to 800 people. 1 year. They don't barely have time to refactor their application architecture. Thank God they use TiDB so that they can scale out to meet the growth in their business side. So that's a real case, real story. You don't even have enough time to think about the scalability. So this is the second thing. Always choose the technology with scalability. The third thing is cost. You don't, as a startup, cost always important topic. So I would choose some solution that provide freemium or pay as you go business model. So I don't have a really precise predictability of my workload. So I don't want to pay extra money. So the cost, especially the flexible pricing strategy, will be one of the most important things I will think about. And another rule would be always choose the cloud technology. So today, unless you are the real Linux guru, and I bet you have a good reason not to choose the cloud. So basically 100%, if you want to start a startup today, always choose the technology on the cloud. And yeah, this is basically what I choose technology, because to me, technology is not, you know, a lot of engineer will have a thinking or mindset like, I always want to choose the coolest technology, or I want to use some, you know, I want to control everything. Especially for a good engineer, we always have this kind of mindset. So just like us, you know, when I created PingCab on the first day, all I want to, you know, all my mind is, oh, finally I can use Rust and Golang, these two technologies to build my software. But you know, 8 years later, if I can, you know, go back to the early days, maybe I can, you know, think this question more seriously, or, you know, yeah. But overall, Go and Rust is a good technology. I don't regret to
Cool.
choose that. Okay, yeah, that's what I want to say.
Cool. Yeah, and I'll turn things over to you, Kevin and Elliot. And I mean, I think we can start with you, Kevin. I mean, as you're starting a project, like what were some of your early struggles as you're, you know, trying to build this application? What were some of the things that you struggle with? So,
we don't really have any struggle with that, because like we've discussed that, you know, we have identified, and Peter is also a very loyal user of TiDB tech stack, and we have easily identified that, you know, what we need for this project. So first we need a large language model, and so you don't have a lot of choice for that. Or you have cloud or OpenAI. Those are the only valid choices. And also for you know, and this is a PingCab hackathon, so we have to. But of course we want to use PingCab. You know, like TiDB serverless. They are like one of the top tier you know, cloud servers that help people build fast. You know, like build applications really fast. And those align with our goal, because our goal is to use AI technology to help people, you know, build something and deploy them in real time. And you know, it's a perfect match. It's very natural for us to use this, you know, tech stack. And I think one of the you know, problem we got back then was the how to do the prompt tuning, right? I think a lot of people are facing the same problem. I think Peter and I are really good at this, right? Like I was one of the first researchers who you know, do research you know, on prompt learning. So we are able to find a good prompt, or, you know, good prompts for our agents to perform as a team. And I think this is one of the recipe for us to be successful. Like one is the good you know, tech stack, like TiDB tech stack, and also the other is like our skills with prompt tuning.
cool. Thank you. Elliot, what about you?
Yeah.
I mean, what were some of the early challenges? So,
Yeah, so actually one of the challenges was that when we actually decided on the tech stack, like we looked into TiDB, we realized that there's a lot of potential in the data analysis part of it, because we are basically doing a game platform, and ultimately we could integrate it with school systems for the lecturers to analyze the students' data. So we are keeping track a lot on like data analytics, like how often the students are playing, how many games they have played, the statistics, average time per question. And all of these data analysis needs are perfectly met by TiDB, which is what actually kind of inspired the project, right? Without TiDB, we wouldn't have this idea of lecturer analysis on the students. And I think the second point with Carmen brought up was really the prompt engineering, right? Because we're trying to output appropriate questions that does not hallucinate. Because if the questions hallucinate, then it really defeats the whole point of practicing, right? Because you're practicing on the wrong questions. So it was key to find the proper prompt and then making sure that the output was like properly formatted in JSON so that we could properly parse it and get out the questions and options. So yeah, that was a lot of trial and error on our end to get it correct. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, glad like both of you overcame those challenges. I know, like with limited time, I think is like actually less than 2 months. It was pretty amazing, the volume of projects and the amount of work that everybody's done. And like Ed said, I mean, the front end was just, I mean, it was just amazing. It looked like very professionally made. And I mean, not that you're not professionals, but I mean, it was pretty impressive. And I mean, I feel like the next one is sort of a softball question, especially for Ed. But I'll ask it anyways. I think like Sean and like Ed, you mentioned both open source. That this gets discussed not just in AI, but in any other technology. I mean, what are some of the reasons why like people should look at a open source like a tool or alternative when they're building a stack? And I think Sean, you mentioned there's community support, a lot more input. Also, it helps with adoption, especially in the early days. But what are some of the reasons why you think being open source is pretty valuable, both for people that are starting the company or project, or even for people that are using the project or product? So,
Yeah, I will answer first.
yeah.
Besides all the, like community things, I think one of the most important reasons for the enterprise to choose open source technology would be trust. So, if choosing a technology is not only choosing the features, but also, choosing a technology you possibly need to rely on for the future couple of years, right? If you don't own the source code, you cannot see you don't have any control about what's happening under the hood. For the enterprise customer, it's really hard to build trust with this, vendor or software. So yeah, it is one of the reason. The second one would be, like the open source project can always, have a faster iteration rate. For example, if you want to compare to the closed source technology, open source product will be, iterate faster. That means if you have like improvement or some new features, you will possibly get a better from the open source world. Just look at that, like Llama, in the generative AI world, you can see the open source big language model they are iterate so fast, and yeah, becoming more and more popular. So yeah, that's all about like the speed of iteration and also the trust. Okay, that's all.
Yeah, for me, other than the community, I think first is also like just as said, like the speed, right? The development speed. So for actually especially for smaller startups, or like if you're just getting started, if there's no like open source model available for you, you're pretty much like building on others' platform, right? Just like how the old days when you're building on like different old platforms, or the like depends on all those like technology like from the big companies. But because of the open source like models or libraries, the smaller startups get a chance, in this race. Also, like if you take a look at all the like Llama 2 has bring to the table, also like Stable Diffusion has bring to the table, there's more like innovation actually happening in those areas, right? So there's people will study those like open source libraries, and there's more researchers going to study those libraries or tools. You also get a chance to like outrun the big company for the first time.
Yeah.
So
and also, if you are not open source, that means in the future your data or your content will not be the training data for the next generation open source model. So yeah, this is also very important.
That's true. Like everybody knows like OpenAI has GPT has a cutoff date like 2021, right? So if you don't allow them to like access your data, then in the future, when the GPT-5 comes out, they don't have your data, right? But if you already have the project open source, they have also part of the data. One of the example I feel like while building tools on top of, for example, like newer libraries. For example, if you're using like Llama Index or LangChain, you find okay, the ChatGPT the GPTs does not have the knowledge of those libraries, right? Probably need to wait. But if you're building on like older like open source libraries, you find okay, it's very easy to use those GPT based or large language based library tools to help you to debug, right? It also improves the velocity of your library. Yeah, so that's I think the most important thing to using open source library is the speed of development.
Cool. All right, so I think what I'll do is I got several questions that are queued up in the Q&A queue, so I'll ask any of the panelists to help. I mean, first one, I think it's pretty simple. So not all the projects during the hackathon, they didn't have to be open source. I mean, they gave us access to the repo so we can look at the code, but a lot of projects decided to go open source, but some did not. So if you can't find the GitHub repo link working, that's probably why. It's probably not. Maybe even after the hackathon, they decided not to like open source it anymore. So that's the project team's decision. And one of the question, I'm sort of going to read this, is building an own LLM model from scratch a wise option for a startup? Like Sean or anyone else, I mean, you folks can answer it, but.
Yeah, so let me go first. We do have a ton of like user data when they interact with the models. But we find is like, first, for a startup to access GPU is really, really expensive. So if you go to any of the like cloud providers, to ask for GPUs, it's going to be really expensive. So your high view is like building a startup is a bet, right? Like, do you want to bet you're going to use all the money to going to train a larger model, may or may not work, or you build something like valuable, like even with the existing model, then in the future, probably if you get a choice, you're gonna try to use the larger model or build your own larger model or not. So I think it's a choice or like a priority problem. But I think also soon, right now, training larger model is really hard, probably rocket science right now, right? Probably given it 1 or 2 years, it won't be super easy. Like I said, everybody is studying the open source model, how larger model works. So give it 1 or 2 years, it will be accessible to everyone, just like big data, right? Used to be a big data, right? Now no one talking about big data anymore. It's like so easy to understand, so easy to use. I think that given like larger models, so many people contribute to this, it will soon be easy to like train your own model.
Cool. All right, Elliot, did you have anything else to add here, or go ahead?
Sure, I want to add something onto the LLM because I'm also trying to run my own startup, and we did consider this exact same question. But so there's 2 ways that I see it. The first consideration is, are you trying to build a large language model because you're worried about the data security risk? And the second one, is it because you have a custom knowledge base that you're trying to fine tune the large language model? So I would say that as a startup, like I agreed with Sean, it is really a risk, right? Because building a large language model from scratch is an expensive operation. And most of the time, 90% of the startups, you probably do not need to actually build it from scratch. You can use existing models, and they have APIs for you to fine tune and have a custom knowledge base to train their own models on. So I think it's not a black and white thing. It's more of like you can always have the best of both worlds by using an existing LLM, but also training it fine-tuning it on your own data to give you the results that you expect. Yeah.
Yeah, my 2 cents will be, I will answer this using a single sentence. Don't train your own model. If you are not Facebook or Google, always use the existing, LLM, open source, or other like OpenAI's API. Don't train your own, especially from scratch. Yeah.
I think you can save the data though, like the data you called from OpenAI, and you can save them to TiDB, right? And
We can
get a
even
chance to
save the
you get a
prompt,
chance
the
to train your
context.
own maybe later when you have like more money.
Yeah, right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the next question, this is from Martin, and I apologize, like I didn't, like it took me a while to sort of understand your question, and I'm going to sort of paraphrase it, and again, anyone else can answer it. I think it has to do with using, I mean, Slurm, simple Unix utility for resource management, with MySQL. But I think Martin's question is, but does MySQL work with like GPU, like NVIDIA DGX? Like, I don't, I hope I'm paraphrasing that question correctly, but I don't know if anyone of the panelists want to jump in there and say anything about like MySQL working at GPUs and how that impacts Slurm. But all right, so yeah, I mean, Martin, what I'll do, I think I'll get your contact information. I'll reach out to you separately. I don't think we have a answer for your question, or maybe I'm still not getting your question. So okay, I think I've sort of scanned through a bulk of the questions. I think final question that I'll ask sort of everybody in the panel. What are some of the other interesting Gen AI applications that you've seen recently that people want to check out in terms of maybe it's solving an interesting problem, or it's got a quirky interface, or any reason is valid, like why they grab your attention. But if uh, I'll start, like I see Elliot on top, so maybe I'll start with you, Elliot. Like any interesting AI apps that you've seen that seem interesting to you?
Yeah, so recently I went for another hackathon, and there was this really cool Gen AI that I saw. Basically what they did was a product demo for startups. So let's say you're a startup selling like a commerce business with a physical product, like let's say a perfume bottle or something. You could give them an image of your mockup or like your product, and they're able to use AI to generate a full like 3D rendering advertisement with like music, sound effects, and like it just made the product looks amazing. And basically they're using AI to automate the entire 3D modeling and advertising process. I just found that was a really cool use case of AI, and it's actually really useful for like any commerce business that is looking to advertise at a low cost and make it look really professional.
Cool. Ed, do you want to go next? That sounds cool.
Yeah,
By the
I'm
way,
finding
Elliot,
the project's name, so skip me.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Kevin, we'll skip to you then.
Yeah. Okay. So I've been recently, I've seen some, applications of generative AI to gaming, like replacing the NPC, with AI, which will create a more realistic experience for gamers, and also it will be an important step towards metaverse. Right. So I guess, and I think that has a lot to do with, maybe character AI, or which are like, they are all building a persona for each agent. And I think this could be a new trend. I mean, with the great potential in a metaverse, it could be a very important both a research question for researchers, and also a great field for new startups.
Cool.
Okay, my turn. I found
I
found
go
the
ahead.
project. Okay. Yeah. My focus is a little bit different compared to the normal user of LLM. I've really focused on how to deploy the open source model, or deploy the full LLM stack on your own environment, because if you want to reproduce or download the model and want to deploy it, create a service on top of that, today is super hard for the normal engineer to do that. So my focus will be some startups to help the developer to deploy, fine tune, or do other fancy thing about open source language model. So one of my recent favorite is replicate.com. It provides a tool to the engineer. It's a really good CLI user experience. I think they really caught the biggest pain points of fine tune on the NVIDIA, dealing with the NVIDIA drivers on Linux. I really hate that. But they actually build a very good user experience, developer experience to help developer like me to combine all the fragmented software stack together. Because I think the biggest problem today is the people who build generative AI is most of them are researchers. They are not system engineer, or they are infrastructure people. From the infra person, the perspective, we still need a long way to go. So yeah, I really looking for how to make the technology easy to use or easy to deploy, to lower the bar for the engineer like me to working with this cutting edge technology. Yeah, that's
Cool.
That's me.
Awesome. Sean, I'll let you go.
Yes. So I also like as I can do front end, or I can do some front end, but I'm really bad at make it UI perfect. I think it's all the winner projects is I'm also jealous. Someone can really do some front end development. So then there's a project called v0.dev, created by the Vercel. So they basically it's a how I put it is a text to code, right? So it can ask, okay, give me a beautiful login page, right? It can generate that page for you, right?
Just beautiful, right? Just
it's also beautiful. Yes.
Beautiful, yeah. With a
yeah, so
normal
that's
standard.
exactly something I'm looking for, right? I have been there's the same login button I have been in so many times, right? I can't imagine how many engineering hours going to be wasted on just building the login button. I just want something simple, with a text. I should be able to build a button or build a page, and the very standard page. So it's going to help me to quickly demonstrate my ideas, how the product is going to look like, and without a UX or without a really specialized front end developer.
Cool.
Yeah, that's my
right. Thank you. So a question just came in from Satyam, and I'll just read this. I think Ed, you're probably going to be the best person to answer this, because this is regarding TiDB, and I'll just read it. For TiDB, do we have an option to use Gen AI to fill data gaps? For example, in case of any data product, we need to rely on primary and secondary data source. So in case primary data source has any gaps, automatically pipe in secondary data source and use Gen AI to go to the next level. So does that make sense? Or
actually it's not really related to generative AI, but it is a common product requirement for the cloud database. You mentioned that maybe related to the feature like CDC, or the combining TiDB to other data source. For example, you can use TiDB but travel the data from BigQuery or Snowflake, something like that. So it's more like a data migration or data pipeline. I think definitely the answer is yes. We will keep putting the resource on building features or building the features around this requirement to make TiDB can well connected to other popular data warehouse or data source. And also, for the next level thing, I would say generative AI will help users to analyze your data using database technology. For example, something we create, chat to query, is a great example. You can actually talk to the database using natural language. What's my biggest, what's the best day of my sales, something like that, and it will generate the SQL value, the SQL query based on your query. That is this SQL query generated by Gen AI. So this is a small example to how to use Gen AI to do data scientist. But what you're actually asking is really related to some basic functionality of the database itself. Yeah. Okay, today we have a lot of tools like DBT, FineChan, or even using Snowflake or Databricks. They also provide the similar, tools to help you to do that, to integrate with TiDB. Yeah, so it is not a generative AI specific question. Okay.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you, Sachin, for that question. And yeah, feel free to get in touch with us offline if you have further questions. And we're like out of time. I mean, I have one last question that hopefully you can stay on for 1 minute that I got on. I'll just go ahead and answer it. It's one of my favorite questions that I get all the time. Like, how do I get started in open source? And Sean sort of mentioned it. Like, if you're like interested in AI, for example, you find a project, I make sure there's an onboarding resource as a new community member. Like, if they have good documentation, if they have good online support, if they don't have that, then it's going to be very, very difficult, even if you really like the technology or the software. Onboarding is, I mean, I think I've been preaching this to every community I've been involved in. You need to invest in community engagement and onboarding. If there's a lack of that, then you're going to have a pretty tough time. It'll be pretty rough go if you haven't participated in open source before. So that's my only advice. But I mean, feel free to reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. I love talking about onboarding and open source in general. And as closing, I want to definitely thank all the panelists: Sean, Elliot, Kevin, and Ed. As always, love talking about. I mean, I jotted down like about 10 questions before we started. I think I made up like a few of them on the fly, and then because of the conversations we're having. So this was very interactive. So if we followed the script, it would have probably been very boring. So I thank you for all of your time, and especially staying late in the evening. And then, I mean, thank you for all the participants and for your questions. And we'll see you all at the next one. So, cheers.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.